I'm Joanna Kenty, and my new book, Cicero's Political Personae, has just come out with Cambridge University Press. It's a book about how the great Roman orator and lawyer Cicero played different characters or personae in his speeches to lay the groundwork for his arguments and maximize his leverage in persuading an audience or a jury. But as Cicero's role model Demosthenes once said, the three most important things about public speaking are delivery, delivery, and delivery. So I've decided to deliver dramatic readings of some of my favorite passages that I talk about in the book, and I'll tell you a little bit about why I think they're important. So in chapter 1, I talked about Cicero's persona as an attacker. In chapter 2, I turn it around and talk about Cicero's persona as a friend. It's really important, I think, that Cicero can play both of these personae, and he can actually switch back and forth between them even within the same speech. There are a lot of different sides to Cicero's personality, and each persona helps him set a different kind of mood, and it helps him lay the groundwork for a different kind of argument. So for example, when Cicero is talking about how great his friend is, how he would do anything for him, forgive him for anything, he might be setting us up to feel sympathy for the same person. He might be making a show of how many friends he has in his corner and how powerful they are. Or he might be buttering up his friend in particular, so if Cicero praises him in public, it would be awfully rude of him not to play along and reciprocate. Honestly, half the time he is talking about people who demonstrably weren't really his friends in kind of a close personal sense. That particularly applies to Julius Caesar. Cicero and Caesar had been on opposing sides in the past. They had very different political philosophies, but it's really nice to have Caesar on your side. So in his attack on Piso in the Senate in 55 BCE, Cicero addresses that. In the speech against Piso, Cicero says, "Even now, I will speak from my heart, senators, what I feel, and what I've said in your hearing many times now. If Caesar had never been my friend, if he'd always been angry with me, always scorned my friendship, and presented himself as implacable and unappeasable to me, I still wouldn't have been able to resist being his friend, since he has done and is still doing today such great things." He really plays with our expectations here and switches course in the middle of that sentence. If you want to compare the Latin to the translation, you can pause the video here. So then Cicero really gets going. "It's Caesar's command, not the Alps, that I point to and throw up against the ascent or invasion of the Gauls, nor the depths of the Rhine overflowing its rapids against the monstrous nations of Germans. Caesar has made it so if the mountains sank into the earth and the rivers dried up, we wouldn't have the defenses of nature, but Caesar's victory and achievements to fortify Italy." So here, he's not just telling us that he formed a convenient political alliance with Caesar out of necessity, just get the job done and go their separate ways. Instead, according to this speech, he says Caesar, he thinks, is just about the greatest person who ever lived and is a great friend of his. This elaborate rhetoric borrows from the Greek genre of panegyric, or a speech of praise. The imagery, the hyperbole, and the poetic language all belong to that set of conventions. And Cicero borrows from it here, I think, to show how much he really appreciates and admires Caesar. So his praise is over the top, but it's meant to make us think that his feelings of admiration are over the top as well. There's a risk in praising Caesar. It makes it look, and honestly most modern readers perceive it this way, that Cicero is just trying to curry favor with a powerful person in a cynical way. But when he launches into a panegyric like this, it makes us more likely to think that his feelings of friendship and admiration and gratitude are more genuine. It's kind of funny that Cicero uses the persona of a grateful friend to praise Caesar in this speech in particular, because Piso, the target of the invective in the rest of the speech, is Caesar's father-in-law. Cicero wants to make it really clear that he hates Piso, but not Caesar. And in fact, he goes on to claim that in secret, Caesar hates Piso just as much as Cicero does. He's really making their next family dinner awkward there. So praising Caesar in the style of a panegyric here is all geared toward making Piso look even worse. He can't even measure up to his own son-in-law. Cicero praises Caesar in the style of a panegyric in other speeches as well for different reasons, mostly to explain why he is supporting Caesar politically, somewhat to the surprise of other senators. When Caesar gets a copy of any of these speeches, he might be more likely to praise Cicero in return. So those are a few ways in which the persona of a grateful, admiring friend are rhetorically useful in Cicero's speeches. Next, I'll talk about Cicero's persona as a martyr, sacrificing himself for the common good.